story is about an anonymous man who mysteriously wound up dead on the floor of the Russian consulate on Election Day.
So this is Ali Watkins, a reporter for BuzzFeed News, and I first became interested in this story after I saw her article on the site. You see, it all started on November 8th.
It was the morning of Election Day. I had just got into the office, the news reports that were coming out, and we immediately packed a bag and went up to the consulate to see what we could find out. When we first started looking into it, he was just an anonymous 63-year-old security guard who was found dead at the Russian consulate. It was a huge runaround just to try and get the guy's name. And then when we started digging further, things got a lot more confusing.
So Sergei KRIVOV is this guy's name, and immediately Ali tells me the details don't add up.
The initial reports said that KRIVOV had fallen off the roof of the consulate and died.
New York police are investigating the death of a member of staff at the Russian consulate after his body was found outside with a head injury.
Then, within a couple hours, the consulate said, no, he was found on the floor of the security office with blunt force trauma, but we think he had a heart attack.
So wait, what was it then?
We're still in a place where we don't know what actually happened. NYPD denied our request for the police report.
Because the NYPD at this point stonewalls BuzzFeed, Ali tells me she takes a different tact. She's able to track down KRIVOV's listed address on the Upper East Side of Manhattan, but then something odd happens to her.
I remember the first day I went up there, 11 East 90th Street, New York. I was trying to find the right building because when I got there, it wasn't an apartment building. There were no doorbells. So I stood outside of there for a while and was knocking on doors, knocking on windows. And finally, a security guard came out and asked me what I wanted. And I said, "Isn't this an apartment building?" And he said, "No, this is a Smithsonian building."
Is this the Smithsonian building next door?
By that point, we started reaching out to the medical examiner to figure out the status of the investigation. The medical examiner came back to us and told us that they had not yet determined a cause of death. It's been 3 months since the guy died. And in the meantime, NYPD had told us that they had closed the case. So something was not matching up between the medical examiner's office and the police.
So here's where we're at so far. Sergei KRIVOV's listed address leads to a Smithsonian building. In 3 months, medical examiners have still not determined a cause of death, and the NYPD have closed the case without explanation, which is definitely enough to spook me out. But then Ali discovers something amazing.
So the next piece of information we learned was that KRIVOV was not just a standard doorman security guard, he was the duty commander for the consulate.
What does the duty commander do?
There's no comparable position at a U.S. consulate. It's the duty commander's job to make sure that no foreign intelligence agency is able to sabotage or infiltrate the Russian mission. It's also their job to help handle encrypted communications.
Interesting.
We started taking this information back to intelligence sources in Washington. The FBI had told us that they were not involved in an investigation. Sources had told us that the FBI was involved in an investigation. There's still a mixed narrative on how federal officials were involved in an investigation and if they were, to what extent.
So what do you make of this, Ali? This Russian commander who was just found dead on Election Day with no address. Was he murdered? What happened?
You know, I've thought about that. What do I think actually happened to Sergei? And I think the only answer I can feel comfortable giving is I really don't know. But I think the real important part of this story is the backdrop that we're living in right now. We're in a period of plummeting U.S.-Russia relations. And when you look at the KRIVOV case in the context of that background, it's just one more example in this strange narrative that the U.S. has with Russia right now. So the very fact that we don't know what happened to KRIVOV is important.